we're starting at this. Remember, Patrick, I'm a revolutionary podcast host. We just start whenever. I got a beer in my hand. Patrick, he didn't want a beer because who are you watching? I forgot.
South Carolina. We're playing Kentucky here in about an hour.
Oh,
Football?
shit.
Yep, football. We're gonna fucking lose, so I need to save my drinking for that.
Yeah, so he's saving his drinking. Tyler, he's not typically a participant in drinking unless sake is involved. He's a real samurai Champloo
Yeah.
fellow.
Ooh, sake.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. So we've gathered here today. Tyler, our first guest on the podcast. You should be really honored here. We we're just having one little topic today. Have a little fun little basketball talk. We're ranking our top 10 favorite players in the NBA right now. And Tyler, I was telling Patrick before you arrived in the call, if there's any overlap, it's fine. Like, we don't have to get to 30 players, so we could have a shorter show, like 40-minute show or something. Because I'm sure there'll be overlap. Knowing us, we all three have some personal biases, and my big thing I'm looking forward to is to see if Kelly Oubre is on one of y'all's list still.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to spoil anything yet, but yeah.
Okay.
I almost talked too much. I thought it was a regular Discord for a second.
Well, Patrick, you're my co-host, so what do you have to say? Where you segue us into this great ranking?
So when it comes to Kelly Oubre, that's my boy, but he's not going to be on this list just because, out of respect for your Hornets fandom, I think it's best if I don't include him on the list.
Yeah.
But that being said, it sounds like he's here, so we'll probably have a good little discussion about Kelly Oubre.
Oh man,
I think it's a good way to segue into the best player in the NBA, who should be on all of our lists, Mikal Bridges. That's the guy right there.
All right.
So he's number one on your list then?
Absolutely, my favorite player in the league, 100%. Yeah.
Okay. So give a quick little bit. I mean, you watched him in college before y'all got him in the draft, right?
Yep. So a little rundown from Philadelphia. Was drafted by the 76ers, but traded to the Suns, which is an interesting thing. But, he loves the city of Phoenix. National championship won at Villanova. And since he's come to the Suns, he's been one of the best defenders in the league. He's growing on offense every single year, one of the best team players in the NBA. Everybody loves to play alongside him. Everybody hates to play against him. And he's just got such a bright personality and stuff. He's just a funny dude. He's always chill on the court, but he always shows up every game of the season, never misses a minute of a game. He's just the perfect role player in the league, and that's why he's my favorite.
All right.
Tyler, any Mikal Bridges 2K experiences? What do you got for me?
Not too much of anything that I can remember, but yeah, I haven't played 2K in about a week. That is crazy. Honestly crazy. I hadn't played that game in about a week. I've just been on some little random stuff. But, I'll be having a little more appearances now and then from, like, a lot of the Grizzly people that I know of, because, that's probably my most looked at team right now, besides Milwaukee. And that's going to be something good to see for this year.
Well, that sounds like a good segue to the start of your list. I'm guessing number one is a player on either one of those teams.
Yep. Not even gonna lie. My number one. So we're about to swap transition to my players. We're gonna go back and forth. Oh, okay. So yeah, number one, of course, we got the high flying John Moran. Like,
oh well, we will be going back and forth in between picks. So Jaw's your first pick then.
Yeah, for right now, Jaw's my first pick, most definitely on the top of this list. number 12 point guard from the Memphis Grizzlies, you know what I'm saying? Came into the draft 2019 on the first round. He was a second pick. And, you know, he's a South Carolina native. So, like, what is there not to show out for Ja Morant? You know, he's putting on for SC. It's not really too much.
Patrick loves that.
Oh, yeah.
You don't really get too much SC hoopers like that in the N.B.A. who are, you know, maybe, I don't want to say not known, but not as explosive as somebody as Ja Morant. Like, that's a fucking different type of person there. He's a hell of a guard, man.
Yeah, and he was number 6 on my list. Was he there for you, Patrick?
I didn't. He kind of slipped my mind a little bit.
Goodness.
But I'm giving some love to like some lesser known players in my list. So
maybe I'm being too. I do not have too many lesser knowns, I will say. But I guess I'll start with my number 1. I mean, it's obvious, Nikola Jokic. I know he's not on my team, but I mean, he's just a god, man. He scores, he passes, he does everything. He's gotten better on defense. I love Jokic, man. He's one of the best sitters ever already, especially passing wise. And just his clips are always super funny. Y'all both seen the one where Austin Rivers comes in the weight room and Jokic is listening to like Serbian folk music. So like he really earned that Joker nickname.
He was like a laid back dude, man.
What do you think, Patrick? You like Jokic, right?
I love him. Yeah, 100%. I mean, he's such a unique player. He's such a great personality, and you know, he's really picked up the mantle for the league of a new era of basketball, as you like to say a lot, especially for like the international audience and stuff. I kind of think of him as one of the first to really come over from overseas and be amazing, be at the level he is, back-to-back MVPs. You can't go wrong.
Yeah, and one more thing about him, it is kind of interesting to think back how he was like fighting with Nurkic for the starting center spot with the Nuggets back in the day, and like how right they were to give up on Nurkic, which it wasn't even a great trade for him. But anyway, so who's your number 2 then, Patrick?
My number 2 is going to be my favorite player on some god-awful Suns teams, and it's going to be PJ Tucker here.
Oh, I like it.
I love PJ, man. Growing up, you know, starting off just watching as a Suns fan in the early 2010s and stuff after Nash was gone, Stoudemire was gone. It was a bad team. You know, Goran Dragic was on that team, but he left us, so he doesn't make this list. Bledsoe left us. He doesn't make this list. Gerald Green is retired, so I'm not going to include him on this list. He'd probably be up on this list if he was still playing, but he retired, so I'm leaving him off. So looking at those teams, PJ Tucker was definitely the best example of character. You know, he never complained about how bad we were. He stayed with us through a lot of tough times from those Dragic Bledsoe teams up until when Devin Booker was on the team. You know, he went through a lot. And it was great to see. Of course, it was against my Suns, but it was great to see him get a ring the other year with the Milwaukee Bucks. So well deserved. And he's really gotten some nice contracts recently, too. So I'm very happy for him. Also has one of the most elite shoe collections in the league as well. So he plays his heart out every night. He's not the most talented player, but he's one of the hardest defenders in the league, one of the toughest guys in the league just in general. So he's going to be number 2.
All right.
Yeah, I think a big reason I like the Sixers so much this year is the fact that they got him, even though he's older. And you could kind of see in the playoffs last year, it's starting to get harder for him to move. But just that toughness aspect you were talking about. I mean, he's been part of some awesome teams, like those Rockets teams. He was with Toronto for a minute after y'all traded him. That Milwaukee team that won the championship. So, yeah, pretty good pick there. What you got, Tyler, number 2?
I think you already know who number 2 is after Ja Morant.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with the Greek god, man. So we got Giannis Antetokounmpo, number 34, the big forward out there. I did not realize. Damn, what was it? What I was looking at earlier. I did not realize that dude had a 7'3" wingspan.
Yeah, and the fact
6'0"
that his
and
arms are that
shit.
big with that wingspan is crazy.
Yeah, that dude's a damn tank, man. He's 243 pounds of straight muscle.
But I mean, it's not just like how awesome he is as a player. He's just such an awesome person. And so he was number 2 on my list. And Patrick, it's funny because, you know, when we were ranking our players, these were our 2 top like skilled players. But like they're also my favorite players. I think that bias is part of why they were my top 2, even though I also think they are that good. But I'm sorry it was at the expense of your sons, Patrick, but just when he won that ring, man, I just felt so good for all the hard work and dedication.
Oh, no. It's one of those things.
So proud.
I was happy he won the ring. However, he did beat my sons, which is why he's not making an appearance on this list.
How did you feel when y'all had to play against it? Like, were you just like, I hate you right now? Like, stop it. Stop going to the rim.
My frustration in that series, as you remember, was always about just the fouls, the amount of fouls he drew. Looking back at it now, I can understand. I still think there were a lot of soft calls in that series, but like, I mean, he's the best player in basketball right now, 100%. And, you know, we just ran into it. It's just amazing when you consider the fact that, you know, he got hurt in that Hawks series right before the finals, and then he comes back from injury. People aren't even sure if he's going to play in the finals. He comes back and starts dropping 40-point double-doubles. Like, it's just utterly insane how talented he is.
And then he got 51 mini Chick-fil-A's, dude, after he dropped 51 in the finals.
Oh, yeah.
God, that was so funny, man. But it is funny with Giannis. My friend, when I was younger, put me on to him when Giannis wasn't Giannis. So, and my dad is from Wisconsin, so it was a good like bonding experience to be able to have a Buck be that like a young up and coming Milwaukee Buck. So that's part of why he's so high on my list too. Patrick, number 3.
Number 3, I'm gonna go with another one of my players from my childhood, not because of N.B.A. basketball. It's from college. It's PJ Dozier here. So PJ Dozier, South Carolina boy, obviously went to University of South Carolina where I went to school, and he was probably the second best player on our Final Four team in 2016, and that's a big reason why he's here. Absolutely. In terms of N.B.A. terms, you know, he hasn't necessarily been a great player in the league, but he's a solid role player. He plays good defense. You know, he struggled with injuries, unfortunately, but he's still got a chance in the league. And just in terms of his skill set, you know, he's a long guard, got great length at the guard position, 6'6", not the best shooter, but he's a good finisher inside, plays really good defense, decent distributor of the ball.
Like, not the best ball handler, but can handle it competently enough to like get to the rim, you know?
Yeah, and in NBA terms, he's more of a combo guard, not a true point guard. And also, you know, the way the Nuggets utilized him, he's almost more of like a 2 or a 3 on the wing, just a wing defender is basically his role. But in college, he showed up big time in our first NCAA tournament appearance of my life, and he showed out and made it to the Final Four. One of the most incredible viewing experiences basketball-wise of my life. So he'll always have a place on one of my lists.
Tyler, you watch much of PJ Dozier?
Nah.
Fair enough. I don't think a lot of people have.
Yeah, I'm kind of like slept on with some people.
No, it's cool. Who was your next one, Tyler?
My next one was going to be Joel Embiid. Yeah, Joel Embiid coming out of 2014's draft in round 1, pick 3. He's from Cameroon. I swear I did not know that. I knew he always had an accent or whatnot, but I didn't know he was from Cameroon.
Yeah, but he ended up playing with, I think, was it France's team, Patrick, in the Olympics or something?
I don't remember. I don't think it was France, but I'm not too sure. Cameroon was at one point a French colony, so his original language is French.
Yeah,
Okay.
true. So you just like how dominant he is then as a center, Tyler, right?
Yeah, I like the fact that he literally can do anything on the court. For being as tall as damn 7 foot, like he's very good with handling the ball, like especially beyond beyond mid range to the arc line. Post game is always good. He can score whenever. Rebounds are usually as high. He's a good passer. He's got good vision.
And that's improved a lot.
His field goal is like 50% almost from the last past year. Because like how I did this list, I did like everybody who was like the last year season, or previous 2021 season. Yeah. But yeah, man, Joel Embiid can literally do anything on the court. He's very very confident in all his post game and stuff like that too. And I like people to play in the post a lot. I don't like big men that always run up the spark a three type shit. But it's always good to see people like, be different on the court and have a different type of play style too. And that's like one of the other reasons why I like Ja Morant as a point guard as well type thing. Like you can just do multiple other things to help you get a bucket or like, help set up for teammates and stuff like that.
Yeah, like because for example, with Embiid, like his defense is so good around the rim. He could just like pack it, take it. You mentioned his handle has gotten so much better, and that includes like he's actually dribbling in the fast break now, looking like Giannis. So the fact that he was already so good as a prospect and he just keeps getting better to just demigod tiers. Patrick, where's your gauge on this? I don't know like where you stand on Embiid that much. Like I know you acknowledge how good he is, but I don't remember if you like dislike him or like him.
He's a great player. I didn't dislike him ever. I wasn't 100% sure about him earlier in his career, but he's really kind of toned down some of the more childish shit, and he's actually become he's a great leader for the 76ers. He's the anchor of that team, obviously. And like you said, you got to respect his game 100%. I mean, he's a physical freak, one of many in the league at this point, but behind Giannis, I don't think there's a different, a 7-2 center. He's really the closest thing I think we've had to Shaquille O'Neal since Shaq's left the league 100%. So
him, Giannis, and Zion, we've had these bigs, dude. Yeah. But so next on my list, so Giannis was second, and maybe it's blasphemous to have two players above a Hornet, but LaMelo's my third. Patrick, you left Suns off. That's what you said. I had to have a Hornet on here. LaMelo, you got the swaggy game. The passing is amazing. He's really funny off the court. Like when you go to games and he's on the Jumbotron, he's just so stupid. And I just like how he is that like he puts on a show in front of the crowd. That from someone going to Charlotte games for years, having someone that exciting is just really awesome. So that's why he's so high on my list. I know both of y'all love LaMelo.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I like LaMelo since the Chino Hill days.
Yeah.
It's always good to see that type of stuff. It's crazy to see how far he's came, man. Like, it really is.
Like, he really lived up to the Chino Hills social media hype.
Yeah.
Like a modern day basketball fairy tale, ball family story.
It's also crazy because, like, you got to see him, like, grow up in a sense. Like,
yep.
He really changed a lot of his game since being in Chino Hill and stuff like that. Like he used to be like a shoot first person. Now he's more of a pass first person in certain cases. But I mean, he's gonna definitely progress and get way better over time. So I'm actually excited to see some shit happen with LaMelo within the next pass or the next few years or so.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's a really good point how you were saying how he was such a shoot first player, but then somehow he had like this like one generational playmaking talent hidden in there. It's pretty impressive. Patrick, before they both grew up, who were you higher on, Lonzo or LaMelo? Like back in our high school days.
In high school days, once I've heard about how good LaMelo was, I was somewhat, but I tend to favor Lonzo just because he actually played in the United States. I actually watched more of him.
Yeah, with UCLA.
Just in terms of college game and all that. The thing is, I feel like LaMelo's benefited a lot because his dad's finally shut the hell up and like just let him play.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're both really good players. I think for what the Hornets are as a franchise, I think LaMelo makes a lot more sense because I think he's more marketable. He's obviously much more of an offensive threat than Lonzo. I think Lonzo maybe is a better fit on like a championship team, possibly. It's one of those things, but they're both great players,
and I think playmaking.
Yeah, and I'd love one day for the two of them to join up. Hopefully on the Hornets, that would be pretty nice for y'all. But,
I would love that.
I think they'd actually play really well off each other.
So who's your fourth, Patrick?
My fourth player is going to be another South Carolina boy. It's going to be Zion Williamson here.
Hey, what? Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah, so this one is one, unfortunately we just haven't gotten to see a ton of him in the league, but just the hype growing up, all that kind of stuff. I loved watching him in college for Duke. I actually got to see him play live, which was one of the more exciting experiences of my life. Yeah, it was the, I can't remember what year he played in college, but it was the second round of the tournament when they played against UCF, who had Taco Fall, and it was one of the more incredible games you can watch. A freak like Zion and then a freak like Taco Fall. Duke ended up winning it very tight game. But Zion, just in terms of a body build, the closest thing I think we've had to LeBron James. So athletic, he's growing. Hopefully, his shooting touch, that's the main thing. Obviously, it's going to be interesting to see how he plays when he comes back this year. But in terms of personality, he seems like a pretty chill dude as well. I think a lot of the media have been misportraying him as not a hard worker just because of, the weight he had on and that kind of stuff. I don't think that's the case. And I'm really hoping, injuries stay off of him so he can really prove a lot of people wrong this season.
Yeah, Tyler, you're a big fan of Zion, right?
Yeah, I like Zion.
What's your favorite part about him? Just that he's a crazy 2K, unbelievable body, get to the rim whenever.
Man, yeah, I like high flyers and slasher type people. I definitely like people who can just jump. Like that shit is wild. It takes a lot of skill and training and shit like that to help get your vertical up. And that dude there is like almost 3 something, or he was 3 something.
Yeah, how much does he weigh right now?
So his last listed weight in the N.B.A. I think was 6'7". Yes, it was like 6'7", 280. But I think it was obvious he was above that last year.
That dude is a tank. Like about 300-pound man sprinting down court, like. And his ball handling is actually pretty damn good too. Like I wouldn't expect something like that, but yeah, I like him a lot, man. Definitely real good at the paint.
Well, who's your fourth one then, Tyler? You're on your fourth, right?
Yeah. So my fourth, it was going to be LeBron. I can't not leave LeBron in this list.
Like, good point.
This is LeBron. But if I had to say anything about LeBron, my favorite time being of ever seeing LeBron on TV and shit like that, it had to been 2016, 2017 year. Like that was a good year there.
Yeah,
LeBron. They was definitely going all out.
You're talking about the first year KD was on the Warriors and the Cavs were like actually really good, but it's just KD was on the Warriors, so they didn't win.
Yeah.
What's your favorite LeBron year, Patrick?
That one was close. I'm trying to think, because obviously, the Heat Big Three was pretty exciting to watch as a young guy, but at the same time, I was more of a Wade guy than a LeBron guy. It was probably as boring as it sounds. It's probably the championship year, and it's with the Cavs. And the main reason was I'm not a big Warriors guy, as you know, and getting to see LeBron bring a championship to Cleveland, that's the kind of stuff I like to see. A city like Cleveland, who's struggled to win in anything, and he delivered a championship back to his hometown.
It's so funny you mentioned that, man, because I was going to tell you the other day, I was just thinking about when we were playing basketball in Nashville. If we won the game, I should have just gone like, Charleston, this is for you. So my fourth, I'm sorry, Patrick. I know every time I mention his name, you get mad, but Luka. What I've been a Luka fanboy since before he was on the Mavericks, and then once he joined the Mavericks, I was like, well, that's awesome. Dirk's like my favorite player of all time, and now they're getting another protege white guy. And okay, yeah, Jokic and Luka, they're two white dudes in my top 5, but they make me believe that I have a chance. All right. So I don't know. I just love his game because like he's the prototypical guy. I'm going to bring in my 2K experience here, Tyler. He's like my prototypical character that I would make in like 2K 15 and 16. Just like a white James Harden, Klay Thompson mix. Well, that's a bad comp, but you know what I mean. Just hyper scoring, could shoot, all that. So I love Luke. I just like love the fact that he laughs at people during playoff games because he's just like, yeah, I'm that good. It's super funny.
Whenever you do like that, like taunt shit to people on the court, you kind of remind me of Larry Bird. Larry Bird did that shit a lot.
That's a good point.
He was bullying people and calling shit out and just dropping points. That's the vibes I get with Luka, man. He might be the next Larry.
Patrick, am I still invited to Nashville in January?
Yeah, I mean, I respect Luka's game, 100%. I don't hate him for that series individual. I don't particularly love some of like his attitude on the court sometimes. Like sometimes he just complains and shit ton. That's just my thing with him. I mean, you have to respect his game. It's actually funny because I know Skip Bayless has been calling him Baby Bird for like a while now, and you can definitely see the comparisons there. Obviously a great player. Yeah, I mean, I'm not salty at him for us losing. I mean, he just destroyed us. I'm more angry at ourselves for the way we played. So no hate towards him for that series.
Yeah, all fair. So who's number 5 for you then, Patrick?
So this number 5, I think it's a good place to have my one and only 2K pick of my list. And this is going to be Cade Cunningham.
I knew it was coming.
Yeah, so context is that I started this Heat 2K save like probably 2 or 3 years ago. It was like the year before Cade came out in the draft, and I ended up trading up and getting him with the number 1 pick. And whatever draft class I use, he is just fucking insane, like just nutty. He's basically like, I mean, he's obviously he's a 6'7" point guard. He's got great handles. But in this one, he has the athleticism to go along with it too. Not saying he doesn't have it in real life, but in this one, he is like a LeBron James-esque athleticism. It's just absolutely insane. And he's carried me to like 4 N.B.A. championships, 4 finals MVPs, 2 N.B.A. MVPs in a row.
For your Miami Heat.
Yes, my second team, as Finn probably wants to disown me for that. And he already has, I think. So, but in terms of real life basketball, he's really going to be the figurehead of this Pistons rebuild, and it's going to be great to keep on watching him. I thought he was shit on unnecessarily for his start in the league. A lot of people saying, "Oh, well, he's not living up to the expectations." It's not easy to come into the league and have that much pressure on you. And I think this year, with a better supporting cast around him, he's really going to show out.
And he was injured too to start the year, but once he started, once he recovered, he was balling. Now he's put on a bunch of weight. Tyler, I gave you the rundown on Cade highlights recently. I know you love his game. You love that type of saucy handles, great finishing, all that.
Oh yeah, shit! It's definitely good to have a good ball handler.
And we can't not mention one of my favorite N.B.A. quotes from the past year and a half or so was when Cade was like, "See, I know it's called GIF, but I say GIF because it sounds cooler." So like, I'm with Cade on that. I totally with him. Tyler, who you got next?
So for the 5th pick. I'm obviously gonna have somebody damn near LeBron, rival type shit. So how I did that, I chose Steph Curry.
Ooh.
And I couldn't leave Steph Curry off this list. I'm not even gonna lie. The way how I made this list, I probably would have had to redo the numbers for all these people because I don't think that this would be this isn't exactly as accurate as I wanted it to be. But
yeah, that's fine.
Well, number 5, Steph Curry. I mean, what is there wrong to say about Steph Curry? This motherfucker's the goddamn prodigy of shooting. Like, I honestly don't understand it. Like, he shoot from damn near half court and hit the damn shots in the middle of the games. Like, I don't know. Other than the fact that his like very skilled part of shooting, he's actually real good at attacking the basket too.
He is, like, after his MVP season, which he was like decent at finishing, I remember he made a concerted effort to work on that. Tyler, that's one of me and yours favorite shots in the NBA. Steph's like scoop floater shot. Patrick, I know you love that one too.
Hell yeah.
It is, yeah.
It's so nice. But no, Steph is a great pick. I don't blame you for having him in your top 10. At first, I was a Steph hater years ago because I was a high schooler, and I was like, oh, I don't like that. Everyone like But then I was like, just watching him play, and Steph is awesome. I think he's in for a big year. Me and Patrick will be getting more of that later in the week. But Patrick, what's your overall Steph takes? I don't have the greatest temperature gauge on where Steph stands with you.
So it's one of those things. I'm just a Warriors hater. I'm just going to be completely honest.
Yeah.
But I respect Steph. I don't really have too much of an issue with him. But just because I'm a Warriors hater, he's just not going to be on this list. That I will say, I've come to like him more over the years. It was more just when they were just so good and just running everybody over. I was just like, yeah, screw Steph Curry, screw them all. Clay was always my guy on those teams.
Me too.
But I've come to respect Steph Curry a lot more.
I have to mention before we move on from Steph is like the most awesome shot was 2016 against the Thunder when KD was still there and he beat that halftime buzzer beater. It was like in February. It was so awesome. So my next pick is, I was gonna ask you to guess, Patrick, but I'm not playing that game, and I have had a Samuel Adams. It's Brandon Ingram.
Ooh.
Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, 2016 seemed to be just a peak year. Tyler, me and you always call 2019 a peak year. 2016 was a pretty good one too. I just really was into the March Madness tournament that year, Patrick. I don't know if you were too, but I was having a lot of fun watching that. And Brandon Ingram, I just liked how he was like a baby Durant, like skinny archetype. It's almost like the whole Luka Jokic thing. I'm like, that guy's skinny. I'm skinny. I could develop like that smooth shooting, handling game. And just to see his progress, like he went through with the Lakers, LeBron got him out of town. He got his own team, and look at how good he's gotten. I mean, Patrick, you had to face him in the playoffs. It's not like they like were gonna beat y'all, but I mean, dude, he was doing crazy things against y'all. I just love like his game so much. Just that Slim Reaper score. It's Same reason I like Durant, but he's not on my list because all his recent stuff. But yeah, Ingram.
Yeah, Ingram is pretty insane. Yeah, it was one of those things. I obviously I knew his talent level just from watching him in college, and then his years with the Pelicans. He just didn't really get the the media coverage just because the Pelicans were so bad, and then Zion came into town. Everybody kind of forgets about him, but I think everybody is well aware of how talented he is after what he did to the Suns. It was one of those things. We started off the series trying to put McHale on CJ and that kind of stuff, and we had to put McHale on him because he was just torching us. And I think he would have even possibly had better numbers. He was dealing with a back issue, but he's definitely all-star caliber player in terms of scoring. One of the best mid-range shooters in the league as well. So, no complaints for me on having him on this list.
What about you, Tyler? You got any complaints for my having Brandon Ingram as my 5th favorite player in the NBA?
Nah. Brandon Ingram's great, man.
Okay,
I
good.
have nothing against Brandon Ingram.
Okay, good. Patrick, who's 6th?
6th on my list is one you probably expected. That's going to be Desmond Bane.
Oh, I love Bane.
All right.
One of my favorite players in the league. One of the smoothest jump shots. I mean, oh my God. If I could shoot like that, things might have gone differently for me. Unfortunately, I shoot like Markel Fultz, so not really. Actually, that's kind of disrespectful to him because he's working on it. I shoot like MKG. That's really what it is.
Oh, no, Michael Kidd Goldfish.
All right, but just overall, Desmond Bane, somebody I was really high on coming out of the draft. I wanted the Suns to draft him, be like the understudy to Booker. I'm kind of glad in a way that we didn't draft him because it's giving him an opportunity to shine on his own. It's just amazing because I feel like Ja Morant is such a good player, but at the same time, I don't even think Ja could be the player he is without Bane, and vice versa. They just fit so well together. They're the next kind of Steph and Clay kind of partnership. I really hope they stick together for most of their careers because I just think they work so well off each other. And just in terms of, like I said, he's just such a pure shooter. He's a hard defender. He tries his best. So one of my favorite players in the league, and also on the Grizzlies, which are one of my favorite teams in the league as well, just their current roster. So it makes too much sense.
Yeah.
Me and you could have been Shadow Clone Jutsu from Naruto just now, and it wouldn't be surprising. I agree with everything you said. Tyler, who you got?
So with my 6th pick, it was going to be Zach LaVine.
Ooh, I like that.
Zach LaVine has always been he's always been dominant. Everybody has their games, their on and off games and shit like that, but I really like Zach LaVine for more of his attitude when it comes towards playing with the team and shit like that. Like, he's a real good person when it comes to pass first as well. Also, another thing about him, I mean, as you can see, majority of the people on my list are high flyer or some sort of athletic person. He's crazy with hops too, man.
He is.
Like, shit, man.
Aaron Gordon should have won that second dunk contest, so.
Yeah. I actually do remember that shit.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was 2016 as well, I think.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was.
I think so, yeah. Then one of them jumped over a mascot or some shit like that, right?
Yep, it was the Magic mascot Aaron Gordon did.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right.
That was a sick dunk contest. But yeah, man, he's a goddamn high flyer. That dude, I don't remember what they say his vertical was, but he got it.
Hops and a jumper. Patrick?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm on board. It was one of those things where early on in my career, I wasn't too sure about him. Or in my career. In his career, I wasn't too sure about him. In my career as an N.B.A. watcher. But no, I've really come to respect his game because he's really become a polished scorer. That was my thing. At first, I was just like, oh, he's just a dunker. You can't do shit else. But I've completely underestimated him, and he's become a really good scorer in the NBA.
Yeah, for sure. People underrated his shooting. earlier in his career, but he really was a great shooter from the start. So I guess that's me. I'm surprised this name hasn't come up yet, but it's Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
Yeah, why didn't Jimmy Butler come up yet, guys?
Man, I honestly don't know. I don't know.
Patrick, what's your excuse?
Definitely be an honorable mention for the list.
Is he not on this list, Patrick?
He is on my list, and he was probably my next pick.
Okay, good. So we're overlapping again then. Yeah, I mean, it's Jimmy, man. First thing that comes to mind is when he fell over in that canoe when he played for the Timberwolves. Second thing that comes to mind was those extensions he had the other week, and he said he just had them to make the internet mad.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I did see that.
Third thing that comes to mind is the big face coffee hoodie. Fourth thing that comes to mind is the man in the Orlando bubble in the finals with a moustache and great looking hair, dropping 50 on LeBron. I've liked Jimmy since the Bulls, since his MIP season, since the beginning, man. Since back then, I've always loved Jimmy. He's a grind. What's funny is I probably wouldn't get along with him in real life because he would seriously dog me all the time. But like as a player, freaking love Jimmy. Always will. Always have.
Yeah. Yeah, I ain't gonna argue with none of that stuff there.
Patrick.
Jimmy, definitely a good player for that.
I mean, like I said, I was about to pick him. So I mean, he's just a dog. That's the best thing. I mean, he's such a good player. He's one of the superstars that actually tries 100% every single game. I mean, and then just the fact that he comes in the playoffs and he turns into the best player in the league is just insane.
Yeah. He gets like home turf bonus in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So then who you got? By the way, I only have like 3 people left because I've had some overlap here. So
yeah, I've still got a few players left. All
right, we can rapid fire through these last ones then.
Okay, so I'll go with Saddiq Bey here.
Good
pick.
Right.
Some Saddiq Bey, 3-and-D special guy. He's going to be great alongside Cade. I just love the way he plays. I think he's like a young Mikal Bridges. I'd love to have him next to Bridges, but yeah, such a good player.
He actually reminds me more of Voldemort, the name that shall not be spoken on this podcast, just because of how big he is. That's why. Anything on Saddiq Bey, Tyler?
Not too much that I can say of. I'm still noobish.
You'll see more of him this year. You got League Pass, yeah. So who's your next one then, Tyler?
So my next one was going to be Pascal Siakam. I couldn't leave him out. Shit, I'm not even gonna lie. I mean, he almost had a 50% field goal percentage from last year. It was 49.4. He can shoot a 3-ball, 34.4%. Last year average was 22.8, almost 23 points. He almost had a double-double for averaging last year. Rebounds was 8.5, but a lot of his stats and shit like that from, I forgot how much games it said he played last year, but a lot of his stats.
Well, he started injured, so I think it's like 60, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, because fuck. But yeah, basically he's a real good player overall. Definitely a very good forward for the Toronto Raptors. His court vision is actually pretty good as well. He averaged 5.3 assists.
Yeah, for sure.
I looked at some of his highlights before from the past year. He's actually pretty damn good, man. He's another dominant person when it comes to being at the rack, like with a lot of up and unders
and spin moves. You can't forget the spin moves.
Oh yeah, definitely spins too. All post games.
Well, me and Patrick had him pretty high on our rankings list, so no arguments there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay with a forward. I'm gonna go Jaylen Brown. And I tell y'all what, Jaylen Brown is on one this preseason. That y'all just look at the stats after this. He's going supernova. It's crazy. The playoffs really expose his big weakness, his dribbling, but it's just crazy how god dang elite Jaylen Brown is on those pull-up jumpers from either 3 or mid-range. And it's interesting because when they drafted him, again, 2016 draft, he was drafted right after Brandon Ingram. Everyone was saying like his jump shot, that's his problem. I don't know. I was watching a bunch of his workout videos back then just because I felt like he was such a grinder. And I thought his jumper always looked good. And he's become, I don't have the numbers in front of me exactly, but in my mind, when you ask me most elite jump shooters in the NBA, he's one of them. So yeah, love Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, he's got good.
Yeah, I like that.
He's got a perfect fucking form whenever he goes up for the shot.
For real. Like he's like a robot.
Speaking of robot, I forgot somebody on this.
Oh man. You know what? I did too. Wow, that's crazy.
I know. If I can read through the list, I could.
I just did. But what, Patrick? Who you got next?
Next, I'm gonna go with a guy that did break my heart in the finals, but it's gonna be Chris Middleton. Another guy, such a clean jump shot. Love the way he plays the game. You know, one of the elite mid-range guys, elite from 3. It's one of those things when he catches fire, he's unguardable. You know, you can try and trap him, you can try and double team him, and he can still pull up and just hit one in your face. He's a good defender as well. You know, not the most gifted athletic player, but he's so efficient and he's just a ruthless scorer when he needs to be. And also a Charleston guy as well.
Charleston.
So we love it.
Charleston, this is for you. Yeah, and he's just so huge. He's like 6'7" and has such an elite handle, could score from anywhere. Chris Middleton's awesome. And now our podcast listeners, the like 5 of them, could hear my Giannis impersonation. I couldn't have won this championship without Chris. There you go. So who you got then next, Tyler?
So my next player is going to be Scotty Barnes. That's somebody who I'm looking forward to seeing all year. The fact that literally in his first year, winning the Rookie of the Year award or whatnot, averaging 15.3 points, 17.5 rebounds, 8.3 assists, 1.1 steals, and 0.7 blocks. But his field goal was pretty high, 49.2%, and shooting from 3, 30.1. But I forgot how much points that he scored. I think it was like might have been over 1,000 plus points. But man, he's looking good. I'm actually waiting. I can't wait to see more of him play. I kind of wish I had picked up on the wagon a long time ago, but shit. It's definitely got me hyped to watch more games from him.
I picked up on his hype train pretty hard listening to this guy did draft podcast named Chad Ford, and I had seen him on mock drafts and stuff last year, which was such a great draft 2021. And like when Chad Ford was hyping him up, talking about he's a guy that could play point guard and guard point guards and centers all the way up to centers. Yeah. It's so cool that this past year, and from the looks of it this preseason, that what he was saying is, I mean, it's come true. He's been their backup point guard a lot of the times when Fred VanVleet is out. And he's just such an awesome, unique player. And I just always love wing players with crazy skill sets. You know, Ty, like just the 2K players that we like to create. And Patrick, I don't know when did Scotty get you? Was it throughout the year? Was it college?
So I love just defensive wings out of the draft. So I was always like high on him. The thing was I didn't know his skill set when he got drafted. Like initially I was like, it's going to be great adding another wing next to OG and Fred and that kind of stuff. It was the first time I watched him play, and I looked at his court vision, his physicality, and that kind of stuff, and I was like, this dude isn't just a simple 3-and-D wing.
Right.
He's going to be a superstar in this league, and I really do think he's going to be a superstar.
Agreed.
Future All-Star, future All-NBA. I think the sky's the limit for him, and it's kind of funny because he's one of the few people. There's a few of them in that draft that have that ceiling, which is why it's such a unique draft.
Yeah, and last thing I'll say on him is that that and the Dallas pick are my two smug, or Dallas trade from the deadline are my two smug told you so things, because everyone on Reddit was like hating on them for not drafting Jalen Suggs. And think about the spot the Raptors would be in with Jalen. Honestly, though, Scotty Barnes probably wouldn't have flourished on the Magic like he did with the Raptors. But I digress. My next pick is who you were mentioning. It was going to be someone else, Tyler, but you know what? I switched it. Kawhi Leonard. Love Kawhi. Always have since the Spurs days. We love that laugh on this very channel. If you're listening to this podcast, you could see on this channel I have a Kawhi beat sampling Kawhi's voice. He's such a fun player to watch, just like goes Michael Jordan on people. It's insane. But yeah, Kawhi. We all love Kawhi.
He's a fun guy.
He's a fun guy.
Oh, God, they're raising cars outside. What the hell?
Can't confirm.
The name of Kawhi made cars start. So Patrick, who you got?
This is going to be my controversial pick here. Very, very controversial. I'm going KD, Kevin Durant.
I was going to go him, but I babied out.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Some people can hate on him, and it's a funny thing because, we did this list 5 years ago. He wouldn't be nowhere near this list because, the jumping to the Warriors was such a... I just hated it.
The hardest road.
I just hated because of how dominant he was, but at the same time, I watch him play basketball. That's the main thing. He's probably my favorite player to watch. Just in terms of aesthetic in the league, he's so good to watch. And just his personality in the past few years, the way he's handled the whole Kyrie situation, having a roster built around him that's, to be honest, is kind of shitty, to be honest. I mean, obviously the trades for Harden helped, and then of course he's just handled this whole situation pretty well. I would have loved if he would have come to Phoenix, but at the same time, he's just such a fun player to watch.
He really is. He really, really is. And that Tyler, that 2K15 cover with MVP Durant, you can't forget that.
Yeah.
So Tyler, you got what, like one or two more people left?
I got two more, but technically one because we talked about one. It was going to be Desmond Bane, number 9 for me.
Okay, then yeah, we talked about him. So who's next then? Yeah,
my number 10 was going to be. I was gonna change my number 10 to Miles Turner.
Interesting. Like it.
Miles Turner is actually pretty damn good.
Yeah.
I've always seen Miles Turner play, but I never actually realized. Well, I never really took the time to realize exactly who he was as a player until the last year. I know we watched a couple games. I think it was a couple Pacer games we watched, and from the fucking highlights and shit like that I've seen before, he was pretty good out there. Definitely a high person when it comes to defensive stats and attributes and shit like that. Very tanky person. 6'11".
Dude, he had a crazy work.
7'4", shit.
Yeah, when Sabonis was on the team, they had some crazy workout video, and they were jacked. It was wild. It's funny, my history of Miles Turner, because he was part of that 2015 draft class, which I was really into because Badgers were good that year, yada yada. And then my dad, a year later, had him on his fantasy team, and he was putting up like you said, crazy defensive stats, really high block, rebounds, all that. So yeah, I like the pick though. It's an interesting pick, and they destroyed us the other day at my team. So, what do you think about Miles Turner, Patrick?
I like Miles Turner. I think he's a unique player. Obviously, the skill set of being such a perimeter threat, but also being so good inside. He's like Kelly Olynyk on offense, but he actually offers defense, which is
Yeah.
why he's a valuable player. It's just a shame the injuries recently, but
Yeah.
I think he's the type of player like the Lakers and specifically have been needing for a long time. Somebody like that.
Because he could play with AD as a rim protector, which
Yeah.
would be really interesting. Okay, so my last one here, because I've had some overlap with y'all. Oh my gosh, guys. If myself from a year and a half ago caught me, I would be in trouble here. It's technically two people. I kind of cheated. I put Cody and Caleb Martin, man.
I know why you said that.
Listen, man, I really used to hate on like, why are we playing these bums, this and that? But I mean, listen, they put in the work. They didn't work well together because the offensive liability they posed together. But Caleb did his thing in the Heat. Cody did his thing with us last year. They both earned good contracts. And I'm super proud of them, and they seem like really good people. Like Cody had several times where he bought like fans dealing with illnesses, tickets, and he just seems to be involved in a lot of charity and locker room stuff, and just seems like a real upstanding dude and role model for the team, for a team that's not really full of many of them. So I just like the comeback story for Cody and Caleb. Like that's what I like about sports. Like someone you didn't like grows on you, but yeah. So that's why they're my last players. What do you think about that, Patrick? Pretty good little monologue there, right?
Yeah, I was considering whether to go with him myself. He was on my short Cody. I like Caleb too, but I was going to go Cody because I was like, yeah, I might throw a Hornets player in, but he was definitely consideration, but not who I'm going to end up going with. So
he's my screensaver, by the way. He dunking on someone, but so what are you at, Patrick? You're the only one with picks left. You have one or two.
I'm just going to go with one here. It's going to be a similar type player to Cody Martin.
Bruce Brown?
Probably. Bruce Brown is on my list, but no, okay. I'm not going to go him. I'm going to go with a former Sun, now with the Milwaukee Bucks, nicknamed the Bulldog, Javon Carter here.
Ooh.
Now, some people may not even know who the hell Javon Carter is, and like it's
Tyler,
one of those things.
Javon Carter, not gonna even go lie.
Okay, go on, Patrick. I was just curious.
So he's just kind of a niche player, and the main thing where I got to know him in college, I watched him at West Virginia. You know, West Virginia college basketball, they nickname him Press Virginia. They play full court press the whole game, and you know we had an issue at point guard around those years when he came out of the draft. You know, we were playing point book and stuff. We had no point guard next to Booker.
I remember that.
And Javon Carter, let's be honest, he's not really a point guard. He's not offensively. He doesn't do much. He can shoot the three, but he can't really ball handle. He can't pass. But he came in, and he was a big part of our bubble team. That was one of the reasons I fell in love with him as a player, because, you know, he just works his ass off. He presses the whole game. He shoots the three. He's like one of the best guys in practice, especially. Everybody talks about how practices are so intense just because of the way he plays. So he's somebody that, like, if I was somehow in the league, he'd probably be who I'd be the most like. I'd just be like him, just a hard worker and shit, and just play good defense and that kind of stuff. So I have a ton of respect for him, and I hope he ends up getting a ring at some point. He's with the Bucks, and it sounds like he might crack the rotation. So very happy for him.
Oh yeah.
So Tyler, he's basically a Patrick Beverly without being annoying as hell.
Just thought about that.
Yeah, like sick.
Definitely hustler.
Yeah, short hustler defender. If he were 5 inches taller, he'd be making $20 million a year. That's all there is to it. But yeah, so shoot. We got a lot of favorite players, and that was some good stuff. Tyler, thank you so much for being our first guest. It was a lot of fun, my friend. Patrick, as always, we're like John Wick and John Wick's dog, and if someone did something to you, I would come for him.
Man.
But yeah, any closing thoughts here, fellas?
Well, just wanted to say I am thankful to be out here today on the podcast. More to come, obviously. More to see of old Tyler.
Absolutely.
Or technically not see, but hear,
Maybe one day when we get the face cam set up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, most definitely. Shit, I actually thought about that recently.
Well, what about you, Patrick? Any closing thoughts here, buddy?
No, I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I think one of the things we could definitely do in the future is do a old time players, like all time.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh yeah, we do old time.
All right.
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
All right, that's part two. Part two with Tyler is going to be all time classic retro hardwood classic players. All right, great, awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.